So hello guys, nanan ko sa dike. Haha, yeah boy. So that was the first type of that was the first mechanism of evolution. Um, Artificial selection. The second would be natural selection. For example, let's say for example na meron tayong dalawang klase na hayop. The first class would be yung uh, for example, klase siya ng insect for example, at merong green at merong brown. Okay, so in terms sa yung color niya is meron siyang evolutionary advantage, depende sa environment. For example, like sa case ng grasshoppers, ang pagka-green niya, I think meron ding brown na grasshoppers. If green masyado yung environment, better adapted yung mga green na grasshoppers. Yung mga brown na grasshoppers, since makikita mas madali sila makita ng kanilang mas dali sila makita ng kanilang predators, they are likely to get eaten and they're less likely to reproduce. So meanwhile, yung mga green na grasshoppers, they're going to live longer and live long enough to reproduce. Kaya magdadami yung mga madadami yung number of green na grasshoppers. Meanwhile naman din, kung medyo brown, parang medyo brownish ang environment, yung mga grass, basta yung siguro sa trees na dumidikit yung mga brown na grasshoppers, better siya makakamouflage doon na environment. And if better siya makacamouflage doon na environment, they're better suited and they're going to live longer enough to reproduce. So that's the second type of second mechanism of evolution. The third would be sexual selection. Sexual selection, for example, this is the most powerful, especially for us humans. Sexual selection, for example, merong peacock. Ang sexual selection ng mga peacock ay better color, mas flamboyant yung color, mas colorful siya. Yun yung indicator na healthy yung peacock, parang ganun. And healthier peacock attract healthier, yung parang ganun, good. For example, maganda yung babae, na mas na-attract tayo dahil maganda siya. And maganda is actually a signal. Being beautiful is a signal. According to Dr. Grande sa kanyang YouTube video, that physical attractiveness is the number one physical appearance is number one predictor of attraction. And the reason why we are attracted to beautiful people is because they have beautiful genes. Now, they have healthy genes. And if, for example, kita kasi, we are unconsciously driven to reproduce. Whether you like it or not, even nga sa Bible, ewan ko, parang, pero applicable to, yung sinabi ni God na, kanang, go to the world and multiply, parang ganon. Sinabi niya yun, parang that is not exactly moral, pero parang biological reality natin that we go to the world and multiply, parang ganon. So if you realize, merong parang psychological siya na reality. I don't think na moral reality siya, pero I believe na psychological reality siya. Psychological reality siya. Sort of like yung construct ni Carl Jung, the collective unconscious. Actually, grabe yung preservations ko sa scientific validity ng collective unconscious, because mahirap siya i-prove eh. Unlike sa personality structure ng Big Five na na-test na across cultures, among 50 cultures and nations, hindi tested siya pero retrospective ba. Meaning ang methodology ni Jung ay he studied the commonalities between world religions, between cultures, parang ganun. And he found out that there are certain themes, and these themes are what he called archetypes. And parang the underlying ground for archetypes is parang yung archetypes come from our collective unconscious, somewhat like dreams ba, dreams, pero hindi siya, it's a psychological reality that we share, parang ganun. Pero I have reservations kasi parang medyo grand siya, and wala tayong scientific metrics para ma-test empirically yung postulations ni yung I'm not sure, pero if ever meron kayong resources, I would love to read it. If meron kayong resources about sa theory ni yung, however, I would like to compare it to trait theories, because if you look at trait theories, the big five personality model, actually I'll give you the history of trait theories and why I'm 100% convinced that the five factor model and the other developments that followed are really scientifically grounded. Okay, it started with two Germans. It didn't really started with Alport. It started with two German work about lexical. They studied their own dictionaries, and then wala masyadong impact. I couldn't remember their names. Klages, I think the one was Klages. Wala masyadong impact. I would post my resources down below with regards to trait theories. Ang dami ko talagang PDF na nabasa, promise. So, and I'm going to post a separate video or explaining on trait theories. So, I'll review it. So eto. Wala masyadong impact yung German German. Yan. Yung German psychologists. However, yung work nila, it became parang the springboard for Alport's work. Now, Alport and his colleague na hindi masyado na mention pero was his partner si Adbert, they used the previous work as a springboard, and what the assumption was kanang personality is embedded in the language, and this is what is known as the lexical hypothesis. Meaning, kung for example when we say mabait, mayabang, blah blah blah, those words exist because they reflect the psychological reality among Filipinos. And for example, so in English descriptors like prideful, boastful, hardworking, friendly, parang ganun, and many words this reveal the reality among Americans, for example, parang ganun. So they worked from that the lexical hypothesis. Now what they found was 18,000 trait names. God, can you imagine gaano kadami yun? 18,000 trait names. They called it the lexical nightmare because kahit na mamatay ka na lang as a psychologist, mahirap masyado i-sort out yun. Yung 18,000 trait names. So, parang, okay, parang, sa idea nila Alport, parang, what have we done? Parang ganun, what have we done? We have created 18,000 trait names. So, how can we use this? Mamatay na lang ang psychologist, hindi pa rin, parang ganun. And, even problematic yung panahon nila Alport because wala silang computerized na statistical tools, wala silang SPSS, mga ganun. Parang manualize ang kanilang statistical procedure for factor analysis. Factor analysis would be clumping together. I'm going to explain that later, but I'm gonna explain it here para makastart tayo. Clumping together similar constructs or similar trait names. For example, when we talk about extraversion, hindi siya one trait. One trait siya, pero it's composed of many composite trait names or adjectives or parang ganun, personality descriptors, variables, etc. So, for example, like outgoing, friendly, sociable, parang ganun. Any similar ang definitions, i-clump together into one yun ang tinatawag na factor analysis. I-clump siya together. And we're going to talk about why that's so important. So, from 18,000, so what happened next?